than waste time, we're going to go ahead and just jump right in. I'm going to lay my prediction out so we can get that out of the way, which is that, or maybe not my prediction. We're going to go back to my shock, which was that Trump won by such a wide margin in Iowa. I think Michael was not shocked. Brad, I don't know if you said you were shocked or not.
Nothing shocks me anymore, fellas. I'm above it all. So no big deal. I mean, you guys can, I know you guys are new into politics and everything, but stuff like this does not shock me.
Wow, that's great. Michael, you weren't shocked either.
I was shocked it wasn't more.
Oh, that's it.
I mean, I'm shocked that 18% of the Republican Party in Iowa voted for Nikki Haley. Who are these people?
Is it shocking that Nikki Haley won one county by one vote? Is that shocking?
No. There's always that one. I mean, there's always somebody.
I find that unbelievable, but fine. You know, I think that's a little shocking. You won by one vote. I don't know about that. Sounds like some tomfoolery is afoot. But even if not, is it shocking that she is somehow? It seems like the zeitgeist. You know, the zeitgeist. You love that word, right? That is. It seems like she's somehow pulling off the idea that she got second place.
That was shocking.
And it seems like people are kind of falling for it a little bit, right? Or maybe she's falling, like maybe she believes it so much, then like she's just going with it. Like, yeah, I got second place, guys. Bitch,
well, I think it's ridiculous because we all see through it, but I actually think it's like a good move because the morning after she was on the news being like, I'm not doing any more debates. I don't have to. I'm running against one person and it's Trump. And if the only debate I'm doing against Biden or Trump. And it's like, if you get out there first with the narrative, even though we all saw what the results were, then at least you get to paint that picture a little bit. And then you have Ron DeSantis coming in saying, well, they're hiding in the basement. But like Nikki's already staking that claim saying that she's only running against two people, and that's Biden and that's Trump. And so she's not doing anything else. It's interesting. I mean, it'll be interesting to see. I think there's a debate in New Hampshire coming up. Ron DeSantis said he will stand next to two empty podiums if he has to and debate himself. Will they go forward with it? Will Nikki actually not show up? I don't know.
What do you call that when you're just debating yourself?
A monologue?
Is it maybe master?
They canceled that debate.
Oh, did they?
Yeah. They're not going to have that. There's a logical. You can create there. There is logic in what she's saying. Like I think she was saying, the only chance Ron DeSantis had in the campaign was to win Iowa or to perform closer to Trump in Iowa, saying he's still in the race, but because he flopped, it's a two-person race. He's not a serious contender.
She did worse.
Yeah.
Right, but
I understand.
I think to Michael's point, she's expected to do better in New Hampshire. She at first they were saying she was going to, because New Hampshire's governor endorsed her, and so up until a couple of days ago, he was saying she's going to be first. Now she's saying she's going to be a close second. So she's expected to do really well in New Hampshire. South Carolina, I think she's going to lose there, but it's her state. So like presumably she's at least going to stay until then. So she's saying that if Ron couldn't come in first in New Hampshire, or at least, Iowa, or at least close that gap, then the rest of these states, like he's not doing well in at all. At least it still leaves her a chance. So I think that's what she's trying to paint, which is what Michael is laying out, which, listen, do what you got to do to get there. I think either way, we all know that Trump's going to be the nominee, love him or hate him. He's going to be the nominee. And they are all being led by, one, their just desire to stay in this race and is being fed to them by people who like them, but two, by consultants who want to make money off of extending the primary. I do think that is true to some extent because there's a lot of money involved. And politicians are very good at convincing people that they can win when they can't. Just don't believe your lying eyes and all the polls and everything else. Believe me when I tell you that I got the fire in my belly to pull this off.
So, Michael, when Charles so rudely did not record, you made an interesting point that maybe they were sticking. I asked, well, why are they even still why are they still in it? Right. And both of you sort of agreed to this, that they're just trying to waste Trump's money, get him to spend a bunch of money. And I think that's an interesting idea. And it's not very if you think red team versus blue team, and as fake as all that is, sure, we can, talk about that. And I think there's a solid argument behind that. It's not very red team of them to do that, to say, we're just going to stick it. We're going to do it out of spite for Trump, make him spend a bunch of money. That's money that, at the end of the day, maybe he ends up spending $100 million, and it's $100 million he couldn't spend in the general election. But if those two had to pick between, let's say it's Joe Biden and Donald Trump, and who knows, maybe it'll be Michael's favorite, Michelle Obama. That's $100 million that he can't spend beating the other team that they are supposedly also against. Are they that nefarious?
Are the people involved with them that nefarious? Yes. And I would say you're missing a key distinction. It's not right versus left with Trump. For lack of a better term,
dark MAGA.
This isn't precise. It's establishment versus, it's the neoliberal neocon establishment versus anti-establishment populist forces that Trump represents. And Nikki Haley is, fully in the establishment camp. Ron DeSantis is straddling the line. So the people involved in their campaigns, sure, they don't care Republican or Democrat. They don't care if it's George Bush or Barack Obama, as long as the wars keep going and the money keeps rolling in, right? So the uniparty, those people are involved in Ron DeSantis's campaign, although to a lesser extent now, but certainly involved in Nikki Haley's campaign. Didn't we hear just the other day that Reed Hastings, the big Democratic donor, the Netflix guy, poured in millions of dollars into super PACs to support Nikki Haley, and he's ambivalent to whether it's Haley or Biden, but he has serious interest in it not being Trump.
I completely agree. I mean, when you look at the people like the Reed Hastings and this, there are people who are of this caliber who don't fall into this category, but many of these people of this caliber do fall in this category. The Reed Hastings of the world, the Jamie Dimons of the world, they don't care if it's a Democrat or Republican as long as it's a non-threatening Democrat or Republican who's going to keep kind of business as usual going on, who's not going to be disruptive, who's not going to be, overly brash, who's just going to kind of keep the ship right for the time being and for them. And so I think, there is this, and it's the same reason that, the Republicans in DC and the Republicans and Democrats in DC have more aligned with each other than the Republicans in DC have with poor Republicans in rural areas, and the Democrats in DC have with poor Democrats in urban areas. I mean, their interests are not aligned.
Well, you brought up Jamie Dimon. He's the JP Morgan CEO. He had some things to say about Trump. Do y'all want to listen to that?
Sure. Yeah, sure.
Let's play it.
We've got this great hand, but when people say MAGA, they're actually looking at people voting for Trump, and they think they're voting, and they're basically scapegoating them that you are like him. But I don't think they're voting for Trump because of his family values. If you look, just take a step back, be honest. He's kind of right about NATO, kind of right about immigration. Mm-hmm. He grew the economy quite well. Tax reform worked. Yeah. He was right about some of China. I don't like what he did.
No, I said China virus.
Yeah, I understand. He may have been right. And I don't like how he said things about Mexico. I don't like, but he wasn't wrong about some of these critical issues. And that's why they're voting for him. And I think people should be a little more respectful of our fellow citizens. And when you guys have people up here, you should always ask the why. Not like it's a binary thing. You're supporting Trump, you're not supporting Trump. Why are you supporting
Trump? It's hard to hate 75 million of your fellow Americans.
I agree.
It's done quite well.
And, the Democrats have done a pretty good job with the deplorables, hugging onto their Bibles and their beer and their guns. Really, can we just stop that stuff and actually grow up and treat other people with respect and listen to them a little bit? And I do think the economy will affect. And I think this negative talk about MAGA is going to hurt Biden's election campaign.
Yeah. It's going to hurt Biden. That's Biden's whole election campaign. Yeah. Dark MAGA. But you brought up Jamie Dimon, and it sounds like Jamie Dimon disagrees with you about Jamie Dimon.
He's not saying that because he supports Trump. He's saying that because he knows that if that continues, Trump will win because those people are going to be aggravated and come out and vote for him in full. He wants that rhetoric to be lowered so that Democrats aren't like kicking the anthill with the Republican Party base. And he's also saying that because he's a very smart man who knows that going out there and trashing a lot of Republicans, a lot of Americans who support Trump because he's speaking up for them or saying things that they agree with, is not the best move because he's seen his colleagues and his allies do this all the time. And he knows that he needs to play this road and not be this elitist who's coming out here and calling MAGA people dumb. If you think he says that in the back rooms, I don't think so. But I think what he's trying to do is he's trying to signal to these people, stop saying this stuff, stop calling them deplorables, because what that does is it makes them come out and vote in mass.
I don't know. I'm less, well, I don't know what his motivations are. That seems like that's plausible that is his motivation. There's a couple other options I see. He could be having the Chamath Palihapitiya moment where he's like,
Bless you.
what?
Bless
Did I say it wrong? That's right.
I don't even know who you're talking about.
Oh, the All In podcast guy, the venture capital guy, Indian guy, probably leftist center, big Biden supporter. He has this YouTube short that went viral.
Very viral.
Very viral, where he's like, when Trump was elected, I thought his presidency was going to be an F. And now looking back, it's probably like a B-, because I agree with many of the policy things that he did. I don't agree with the rhetoric. So that seemed genuine. Or I think the likely scenario here is that the Wall Street goons and the establishment right are trying to work a deal for Trump's Veep. And they're saying, if we tone it down, will you take Nikki Haley as your vice president?
I heard some very smart people today saying that Trump should take Nikki Haley as his VP. And I was kind of blown away. I was like, in my head, I was like, what? Huh? What? How can you like Trump and seems like they're diametrically opposed? And maybe you want that in a president and VP. I could understand the logic there. Maybe you want some, disagreement there. But Nikki Haley?
Well, I think it would be an olive branch.
No,
it would be an olive branch to a section of the party that are never Trumpers. I don't know that it would necessarily work for those never Trumpers, but it would be the attempt of having an olive branch. It would be the attempt of having a female vice president. It's the same thing that Biden did with Kamala. I mean, she straight up called him racist and then asked her to be his VP because he wanted an olive branch to the Black community. I mean, and so I think it's an olive branch. But also in the past 2 days, we heard that Elise Stefanik was at one of the top I was going to say Democrat, a Republican from New York who is in Congress, and she was kind of part of that. What was the previous speaker's name? Kevin McCarthy wing of the party. I don't know how true it is that he's considering her or not, but I know it was reported in the past couple of days, which would also be an olive branch to that portion of the party. So is it outside of the realm of possibility? No. Do I think it's a great idea? Probably not.
No, I don't like it. But one thing we have to always remember about Trump is Trump's a deal maker. He's always looking for a deal, art of the deal. So if the big money see, all the people behind the Trump or behind the Haley effort are like, you put her in your Veep spot and we'll calm down on all this money that's being spent against you. Would he make that deal? I would hope not. I would hate that outcome, but I certainly think those phone calls have been made, and I think he would consider it.
It would certainly get the suburban woman vote. It would help bring them over to his cause, probably. But it also puts her one breath away from the presidency. And I think there's a lot of powerful people, Raytheon, Boeing, BlackRock, a lot of defense contractors with a lot of weapons that might, push them up. Yeah.
They've run this play before. We'll just say. Exactly.
I think they did it. We talked about it.
Yeah.
Right? Tell us.
No. What?
Okay.
JFK, Lyndon Johnson, the theory being they wanted Johnson to be president. And so JFK.
Lord.
There's this not to segue too much, but there's this very interesting from the JFK assassination. His personal assistant retells the story of when they decided they were going to choose LBJ, and it was a conversation between RFK and JFK, just the two of them. And she said it was like they didn't want to do it, but they knew they had to make LBJ the
President.
vice president.
Vice president.
What was the reasoning there?
Don't know.
Okay, well, interesting. I guess we're talking with a conspiracy theorist, Michael Searle.
I'm just putting information out there. I'm not saying I believe it.
You know, I think what the government told us about JFK is true.
Yeah, me too.
Definitely.
All right. Well, this was a great topic. I think this offers us. I really don't know if it's a segue, but we can talk.
Hold on. Who's going to win? Who's going to win New Hampshire? And I want to ask, when do they drop? Like, what's the? I know. Okay, Trump. Sure, fine. That was a dumb question. I'm sorry. What is the? Nikki Haley. She's going to get second place in New Hampshire, right? Ron DeSantis gets third. Why doesn't Ron DeSantis drop out at that point? Is it really just? I mean, what's the calculus? You know, Vivek dropped out.
I think Haley wants to make it to South Carolina. I think Ron thinks that he can probably jump from Iowa to South Carolina, kind of skipping over New Hampshire a bit, you know, not ignoring it totally, but maybe trying to make a play there. And then I would assume that if he comes in third in South Carolina, that would be it. If Haley comes in a close second in her own state, because I don't think she's going to come in first, then I think she probably tries to hold out a little longer.
I mean, how many states can you just keep losing?
There's only 3 states.
Well, like theoretically, you could just stay in it and keep losing, and fine, I guess. But certainly, some of their calculus must also be that. I mean, we've talked about it before. Everyone that I've ever talked to that pays attention to any of this stuff is like, you know, I think there's a really good chance that Trump's not going to be on the ballot, and Biden's not going to be on the ballot. That it's not going to be Trump versus Biden. Right. And the only way that Trump doesn't get on the ballot is because somehow the Democrats figured out a way to keep him off the ballots. The lawsuits work. And FBI, I know you're listening. I'm not suggesting that I want this to happen or that I have inside information. Someone kills him. Right. And then it's between Nikki Haley and Ron DeSantis.
Yeah. I mean, I think my answer to your original question is I think DeSantis makes it no longer than after the South Carolina primary, and Nikki Haley too. So what I'm saying is DeSantis drops out right after South Carolina or before, and Nikki Haley will be out after South Carolina.
Okay. Well, sorry to hold us up. Charles, what?
I said we shall see.
What's the next topic?
I think we